Southwest Airlines shuts its airline down for, well, nobody can seem to agree on what the reason is by this, but we'll talk just a bit about what's going on there, and a lot of this will fall into the commie coop kind of stuff again, so we will talk about what's going on in that. In other news, one of Gavin Newsom's kids doesn't have the vaccine despite the mandate, so we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that. Oil prices are coming up as we go into a very cold winter, so we'll see what this means for your wallet and what we do from there. And China and Taiwan are continuing to tense up as we possibly could see another war in the American Southeast. It's going to be all this and more. Let's go, Brandon. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, Edheads. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and, well, we had kind of a busy weekend this weekend, it looks like, in the news here. I'm just looking over the top of here, and I'm seeing tab after tab after tab after tab. It's been a week and a weekend, so we'll go over all this stuff. Some of it is repeat stuff, but we still have to hit all these stories and talk about what's going on here. Plus, it's Monday, so I mean, I don't have to go to work and run out after this, so I don't have my live chat robot up here, so you guys can talk to each other as long as you're in the same program, but you can't talk to each other cross-program here. We got to fix that, because we definitely have to make sure we get some cross-conversation going up here. You guys love talking to each other. I know, I watch it every single day, so all right, that is fixed, that is up, so now you guys can talk to each other cross-platform here. Let's get into it. A couple of announcements here before we get started. First off, you guys asked and we answered. So I reached out to Monica Perez, and Monica Perez will be coming on probably late November, early December onto the Red and Edge show, which may or may not have a different title by that point. We will see what happens, and we'll see if the regular co-host is coming back. But yes, Monica Perez, it looks like, will be coming on to that. So yes, asked and answered. If you guys wanted it, then you guys can have it. And that's one of those things, too. If you guys want to have somebody come on and join the show for something, whether it's going to be the Red Net show or a new show or something else going on there, reach out to me, obviously. Tell me who it is that you want it to be. And then also reach out to that person. Reach out to the other person and say, hey, you know what? I think that you should go on Jay Edgar's show. Go reach out to him, or we'll tell him who you are, but would you be willing to do that? Because then the idea's in their head, and they know it's not just some guy with 300 YouTube subs saying, hey man, will you come on my show, okay? I think it'd be cool. But I mean, yeah, if you got the fan service out there too, that helps to do things. And then also, obviously, tell a friend, tell 10 friends, because as we get more people in here, it becomes easier to reach out to bigger name guests. So definitely do that. See if there's anybody you want to. Just let them know, let me know, and as long as we both know that this is coming, we'll start to work something out here. That's how we got Perez. So definitely we will look into that. We will go from that and see. But yeah, especially if they do read live chat too. Just say, hey, I know this guy. He's got a little bit of a smaller show, but he's a great interviewer, if you guys think that, and tell that person that. All right, enough self-promotion here. Let's get into everything else that we've got to get into. Starting with, we're obviously going to peddle the wares first, because that's what we need to do to make sure that we get some growth coming up here. So we are going to start with the webpage. Go over, check out, and bookmark TurnSomePagesProductions.com. Go and check that out. That is going to be a great time. We're going to have great shows like The Porch Boys, The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The Already Conservative, and Freckles of Brit Show. So go and check all those shows out, plus another show that'll be joining at launch that I'm not going to spill the beans on or anything before that happens. So go and check that out, bookmark the page as we come out and as we start to organize, try to get some money in here together to make sure that the web developer gets paid. I'll start tweeting that link out again to see if we can get some more people on board with that. But if you guys want to tweet the link out too, or go and check it out, or throw a little bit of cash towards that, even $1 helps if you guys want to here, you can go check out GoFundMe. Let's get this up in here. GoFundMe/F/help launch turn some pages. Go and check that out. Let me get that in the chat here for you guys. And there it is. If you can take the link, if you can tweet it out, if you can get it out to your friends, family members, anybody else that wants to get their news from somebody who's not sitting here in a very expensive suit that costs more than most of our houses, and actually get the news that matters to the people that are on the ground. And we will be talking a bit about that as we go through the Southwest stuff. So go and check that out. GoFundMe.com/F/help launch turn some pages. If you do donate and you want to be named, which it looks like only a couple people have wanted to be named, you will get a special thank you on the front page at launch as well. So go and check that out. That'll be a good time and help us get some news out to the people. All right, let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into the big news of the week. Starting with your finance, of course, from the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones had a steady across-the-board day. They kind of stayed where they closed on Thursday, but on Friday, it looks like they went through. The futures, looks like those are going to be rough too, so let's look and see what's going on with that. 34,746.25 points was the Friday close, and it looks like that was down almost minusculely. It was 0.1%. 0.025% was what it was down. So it was down 8.69 points. And that was after they tried to rally throughout the day as well. I mean, you know, you see the drop at the beginning. Now it's back up. Now it's back down. Yeah, and they tried at the end, but still they fell back and failed. It looks like the futures are also looking down as well. So we'll talk a bit about that. Your Bitcoin, let's get a refresh off of that from last night, has risen slightly to $56,352 and 80 US cents. We were looking at 54,000 as we looked into this on Friday. So this looks like it's about to be on the march, which once again, it's one of those things where we're looking at money printer go burr, and it's looking more and more inevitable like money printer is going to go burr because we need to borrow in order to go back and pay off what we owe. So, and some people must be getting back into the job market somewhere because they have the money to go spend on crypto, because you need to buy it in order for the price to go back up. The demand needs to go up, and there is a limited supply of it. So that's what we're seeing coming back out of that. That's where we're seeing this go, and we will see what happens with that. Let's get into your finance from IBD. Dow Jones futures fall, oil jumps with market rally at inflection point. Tesla FSD beta rolls out. Beta? From Ed Carson. Dow Jones futures and S&P 500 futures fell modestly Monday morning, while NASDAQ futures declined solidly as crude prices jumped. A stock market rally attempt is underway, but the major indices all hit resistance at key levels as Treasury yields continue to climb. Tesla has begun rolling out FSD beta to more drivers. The stock market rally is at an inflection point. The major indices need to get above their resistance levels and follow through to confirm the new rally attempt. Microsoft, Nvidia, Sea Limited, Fortinet, and Google parent Alphabet all rebounded last week to or around their 50-day moving averages. Except for perhaps Nvidia stock, they can be considered actionable in a confirmed market rally, but investors neglect the M in Can Slim at their peril. What is Can Slim? I hear it talked about on like an IBD advertisement, because I get those every once in a while if I'm listening to YouTube on a device that doesn't have an ad blocker on it. Can Slim. Let's see what that is. Created by Investors Business Daily's William J. O'Neill, is a system for selecting growth stocks, a combination of fundamental and technical analysis technique. Current quarterly earnings, annual earnings, new product management, scarce supply, laggard stocks, pick stocks, and determine the market by reviewing market averages. So, yeah, it's current quarterly earnings, annual earnings, new products, scarce supply, laggard, institutional sponsorship, and market direction are what the Can Slim and Can Slim stand for. So they're talking about the market direction in that. Now we know. That's fun. I don't care about your free webinar. I just want to read the article. But they don't want me to read the article. So that's all we know on that. Let's grab one from CNBC. Stock market on comeback trail heads into what's supposed to be another stellar earnings season. This is from Maggie Fitzgerald. Stocks proved hard to keep down this week, and the start of the earnings season next week could further bolster the comeback if profits roll in as expected or better. The major averages notched a winning week after overcoming a debt ceiling debacle in Washington. Lawmakers passed a short-term deal that will extend the debt ceiling until December, kicking that overhang for the market down the road. This week's price action also overcame surging oil prices and a disappointing jobs report, with investors buying bank and energy shares. In the face of Washington drama, Delta worries, multi-year highs in crude oil, and much weaker expected jobs numbers, you have to be impressed by how stocks were able to bounce back this week, LPL Financial's chief manager, strategist Ryan Dietrich said. A market pullback that began in September brought the S&P 500 down more than 5% from its record at one point on Monday before stocks mounted a comeback. For the week, the S&P 500 added back 0.8% and sits just 3.4% away from its record. Goldman Sachs, struck by its bullish year-end forecast earlier this week, predicted stocks would start to climb the wall of worries, and they did. Goldman chief U.S. equity strategist David Kostin said in a note to clients that his year-end S&P 500 price target for 2021 is still 4,700, which is nearly 7% above its current level. The firm said earnings growth, not valuation expansion, was the primary driver of the S&P 500's 17% return year-to-date, adding that it should still be the case. The third quarter earnings season, which kicks off next week with the big bank earnings, is expected to be another strong series of reports, despite some worries about supply chain issues and higher costs. Third quarter earnings are expected to have risen 27.6% this year over year, according to FactSet. That would be the third highest growth rate since 2010. We've seen some record earnings and seasons in the past few quarters, so all eyes will be on if earnings can help justify stocks near all-time highs. Dietrich said, "We do expect another solid earnings season, and we've even seen some high-profile warnings already, so corporate America would have a rather high bar to clear this quarter. Buckle up." Bank earnings are the main focus next week, with JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, and Goldman Sachs set to report. After a range-bound few months for bank stocks, analysts are looking ahead to catalysts that could fuel the next phase in their recovery. Wall Street expects loan growth, interest rates, and reserve releases to play into their major banks' reports. Earnings for the third quarter should be again strong and mostly outpace expectations, Lloyd Group Chief Investment Strategist Jim Paulson said. Hours worked in the third quarter rose by about 5%, suggesting real GDP for the quarter may be close to 7%, with most companies reporting strong pricing power. Solid real GDP growth should result in another surprisingly strong corporate earnings season. Which is interesting to me as we see off of this, because it really looks like, especially when we keep talking about record earnings season, record earnings, record profits, record this, record that, for companies that are on the major stock indices, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and the Dow. I mean, if your small company is publicly traded for whatever reason, like your sandwich shop down the street, or your gas station chain, up the road. I don't know if Quick Trip is publicly traded, but a lot of your local stuff, none of it is publicly traded. So we're talking about the indices of massive corporations, massive big businesses, and all I keep seeing out of this particular Biden administration is his rich business buddies keep getting richer, while the poor people that he claims to care about keep getting poorer, keep losing their jobs, keep losing their abilities to get jobs, keep seeing their jobs automated. It very much appears that the corporatocracy is winning this particular term. And all we heard about for the last 4 years, and I'm trying not to do whataboutism about this, but all we heard about for the last 4 years is that our billionaire president, who isn't actually a billionaire except when we want to call him a billionaire, except when he's poorer than we tell you he is, but we keep saying that he's the billionaire that wants to help his rich business buddies, blah, 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 blah. We keep hearing for the last 4 years that all he's going to do is going to drive the poor people into the ground to try to eliminate them and kill them all and make his rich business buddies richer. Well, what are we seeing out of these markets here? The rich are continuing to get richer, but who do you know that's getting richer? On the ground, actually. A few people that have been able to walk away from their mandate jobs and go and get a smaller job in a smaller time company, obviously. But for the most part, the people are either stagnant, staying the same, or losing money because inflation is killing them and crippling them into the fucking ground. So no, this is not a poor person's president. This is not. He'll try to come here and tell you that he is, especially if he survives until 2024 and stands in and honks into the election again. But yeah, this is not about the poor people. So, and that's part of the reason, like I say, that I want to do Turns and Pages Productions. That's part of the reason that I want to make this out here, because who on Fox News is going to tell you, oh, the government is trying to make their rich business buddies richer, and including our president, Richard Murdoch, he's going to get richer off of this. Who on CNN is going to come out here and tell you this? No, this is not. This isn't a poor person's economy. So that's what we're seeing coming up out of the markets here. Watch our rich business overlords get richer and richer. And, well, I hope you had some savings and an extra can of beans, because it's going to get cold. Alright, let's look at the metal prices here, because we're supposed to do that 3 articles ago. Looks like copper is down, steel is on the uprise, and aluminum is also on the up, which is cool, because I have a little bit of aluminum to take over today. Not much, but a little bit, so we'll go head over for that. Looks like on your individuals, a lot of your copper is up. Bare Bright is up. Number 1 tubing is up. Number 2 tubing is up. Flashing copper, insulated copper wire, those are both down. Thin wire is up. Romex wire is up. So all your wires are up. I don't know what flashing copper is. Maybe Ron will tell us that in the live chat again, like he did last time. Brass is down. Shells are down. But BX steel is up. Light iron is down. Number 1 steel is down. Cast iron is down. Rotors are down. Shreddable steel is down. Stainless steel is on the upside, though. As far as aluminum goes, it looks like we are seeing green all across the aluminum. Siding, clean aluminum, copper fin, radiators, cans, sheet aluminum, rims, they're all up. Your catalytic converters are all in the upswing, and batteries are on the down. So use that if you need to bring some metal in. If you need to clean out some project in the backyard, use that to make your determination as to what you keep and what you get rid of. Alright, let's get into the news of the day, and we are going to start with CNBC talking about Southwest Airlines and what may or may not be the biggest thing for the commie coup so far this year. Southwest Airlines cancels 1,800 flights, blaming weather and staffing. This comes from Leslie Josephs. Southwest Airlines cancels more than 1,800 flights this weekend, disrupting the travel plans of thousands of customers and stranding flight crews, blaming the meltdown on a combination of bad weather, air traffic control, and its own shortage of available staff. I know this is incredibly difficult for all of you, and our customers are not happy, Alan Casher, Executive Vice President of Daily Flight Operations, told the staff in a note on Sunday, which was seen by CNBC. The airline blamed the initial problems on bad weather and an FAA-imposed air traffic management program. Although we were staffed for the weekend, we could not anticipate the significant disruption that was created from unexpected ATC issues and bad weather across our Florida stations, said Casher. Other airlines canceled relatively few flights. Southwest did not comment on the disparity. The FAA said there were a few hours of flight delays on Friday afternoon because of severe weather and staffing issues at Jacksonville Air Route Traffic Control Center, which controls airspace in 5 parts of Alabama, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, and South Carolina. No FAA air traffic staffing shortages have been reported since Friday. The FAA said some airlines continue to experience scheduling challenges due to aircraft and crews being out of place. Please contact the airline for details about current flight schedules. Southwest major destinations of Denver, Baltimore, Dallas Love Field, and Chicago Midway were among the hardest hit by the cancellations on Sunday. Southwest apologized to travelers for long customer service waits, the airline said in a statement, expected to get close to normal operations by Sunday, but disruptions worsened. Southwest cashier acknowledged to employees in his note on Sunday that some crew members didn't have hotel rooms last night and said disruptions can quickly snowball as flight crews hit contractual and federal working limits. Right now, our Network Operations Center teams are working to protect our crew network and prevent misconnects, both for our crews and customers that would cause an even greater impact, he said, and teams are working to determine the best course of action to most quickly reset our network. The Dallas-based airline canceled 1,019 flights on Sunday, 28% of its schedule, after canceling 808 flights on Saturday, according to flight tracking site FlightAware. American Airlines, which operates a large hub in Miami, in comparison, canceled 66 mainline flights, or 2% of its operations on Saturday. And Fort Lauderdale, Florida-based Spirit Airlines canceled 32 flights, 4% of its schedule. 32 flights is only 4% of Spirit Airlines, really? I thought that'd be like 90% of its schedule. Staffing shortages fueled hundreds of cancellations and delays at Southwest over the summer. The airline trimmed its schedule after the summer to avoid further disruptions. Other airlines also faced a shortage of workers after encouraging thousands to take leave or buyouts at the height of the pandemic, only for travel demand to return faster than expected this summer. Although we've made schedule adjustments leading into the fall, our route system is not fully recovered. That will take time, Kasher said. He said the airline has fewer frequencies between major airports to reroute or rebook travelers. Southwest doesn't have so-called interline agreements that large airlines like Delta and American have to book travelers on other carriers. So, why are we seeing this? Why are we talking about this in the beginning of the program as part of a major news story that would probably have something to do with either the election, the economy, or the common coup? Because a lot of people believe this has something to do with the common coup. And that's a big part of why why we're even talking about this. This would normally be an end of the show footnote. We've talked about cancellations on Southwest and United. But it's usually a footnote towards the end of the show, like, hey, if you're planning on going onto this airline, they're having this problem, that problem, or otherwise. They're having a computer glitch. They're having some other problem. And I believe it was Southwest that had the computer glitch last. No, wasn't it United that had it the last time? No, it was Southwest. No, you're right, it was Southwest. So, with that, and people are starting to talk, and when I looked at this, I realized that people were just kind of backing into their own narratives once again, like, well, they always seem to do. They hear this, they see this, and say, how does this affect my view of the world? Now, I don't know how this affects my view of the world or how this is affected by my view of the world. I don't, because I don't know all the facts of what's going on here. I know an extremely tight-lipped version that Southwest Airlines wants us to know, but I don't know what's actually happening with this. I can come out here and fully admit the fact that I have no idea what's actually happening with this. But, I mean, there's a lot of speculation that could go along with this. There are a lot of various different theories that we could place onto something like this and say, hey, this is working this way or this isn't working this way. So, yeah, something to watch here. What people are trying to claim right now, we'll talk a bit about this and how Southwest is trying to come back and say, no, that's absolutely not what's happening, is that a lot of this is caused by the fact that people are looking at the vaccine mandates and they're doing mass call-outs. So they're putting Southwest between a rock and a hard place by coming out here and short-staffing them, so they have to cancel the flights. Because even if it's not pilots, which I'm sure a lot of the pilots are vaccinated at this point, even if it's not just pilots, you have to have a certain amount of crew, staff on board each flight to make sure that everything is safe, and a certain number of people who can provide some sort of first aid on each flight at a moment's notice, because, I mean, it takes a little while to land. It does, even if you have to go to a shorter terminal. They have to be able to address certain emergencies in the air at all times. There's FAA law for that. So if they can't, and they don't have enough people on board to deal with that, then that plane doesn't take off. So, and that's what we're seeing. I don't know if that's actually the case. I know that, yes, Southwest is trying to tell you, no, that's not the case. Stop talking about that. But, I can see a possibility of it. I can see a world where that happens. For sure. Let's grab one here from the USA Today. Southwest Airlines flight woes continue. 1,000 Sunday cancellations and counting, from Dawn Gilbertson. Kathleen Miller was sleeping when the text from Southwest Airlines arrived at 1:18 a.m. on Sunday. Her 7:30 a.m. flight from Phoenix to Dallas was canceled. The Pennsylvania woman didn't see the text until she was at the airport, where Southwest representatives directed her to snaking rebooking lines next to the ticket counters. She stood in line for 45 minutes and left with a less than satisfactory rebooking option, a Tuesday flight. Luckily, we have relatives here in the city, Miller said. Stranded Southwest passengers across the country are struggling with the second day of mass flight cancellations by the nation's largest domestic airline. Southwest has canceled 1,018 Sunday flights as of 2 p.m. Eastern Time, according to flight tracker FlightAware. That's 28% of the airline's scheduled flights and the highest of any U.S. airline by a wide margin. American has canceled 63 flights of its operation, while Spirit canceled 32 flights, according to FlightAware. The U.S. airports will be the heaviest flight cancellations for departures and arrivals on Sunday are all big Southwest hubs. Even if the airline doesn't refer to them as such, Denver, Baltimore, Dallas Love Field, Las Vegas, and Chicago Midway. Southwest Sunday cancellations are on top of 808 cancellations on Saturday, or nearly 1 in 4 flights. This during a busy travel weekend, given a federal holiday on Monday. The airline blamed the operation on air traffic control issues and the weather. In a statement on Saturday, the airline expressed optimism its operations on Sunday would improve, not worsen. So yeah, this is their, again, trying to tell you what the travel advisor is. They got a nice, cute little GIF to tell you what's going on there, but we're archived, so we can't play it. On Sunday, the FAA responded to Southwest statements blaming air traffic control issues and weather without naming the airline, and said the issues were limited to Friday afternoon. No FAA air traffic staffing shortages have been reported since Friday, Steve Culp, FAA spokesperson, said in a statement. Flight delays and cancellations occurred for a few hours on Friday afternoon due to widespread severe weather, military training, and limited staffing in one area of Jacksonville. Some airlines continue to experience scheduling challenges due to aircraft and crews being out of place. The statement continued, please contact the airline for details about current flight schedules. So the FAA, which, I mean, we talked about in the last article, was supposedly one of the big culprits for this flight cancellation, this mass flight cancellation, are coming out and saying, no, wasn't us. Nope, try again, because, I mean, we didn't cancel flights on other major networks. It wasn't anything like that. But that's what we see coming out of that. Let's grab one from our friend Ron Helton's favorite publication, from his favorite politician, from Bloomberg. Southwest Air pilots seek to block COVID vaccination mandate. So this is kind of the thing where you're going into the narrative here. So give me just 1 second here. The flowers are fucking again, and it's really driving me bonkers on my nose. Sorry about that. I know, unprofessional, but, you know, it's either that or sitting here and let the watery snot drip down my nose as we continue to talk here. So, this comes to us from Bloomberg here. Southwest airline pilots seek to block COVID vaccination mandate. From Mary Schlangenstein. Southwest Airlines Company asked a court to temporarily block the company from carrying out federally mandated coronavirus vaccines until an existing lawsuit over the alleged U.S. labor law violations is resolved. The Southwest Airlines Pilots Association, filing on Friday, also asked for an immediate hearing on the request before a federal court in Dallas, claiming the carrier has continued to take unilateral actions that violate the terms of the Railway Labor Act, which governs airline union relations. Those steps include the COVID-19 vaccination requirement. The new vaccine mandate unlawfully imposes new conditions of employment, and the new policy threatens the termination of any pilot not fully vaccinated by December 8, 2021, the legal filing said. Southwest Airlines' additional new and unilateral modification of the parties' collective bargaining agreement is in clear violation of the RLA. Southwest set the deadline for October 4th under a federal vaccination mandate for employees of companies holding contracts with the U.S. government. Workers can seek medical or religious exemptions. The union represents 9,000 Southwest pilots. And of course, now you've got the Commie Coof numbers, which you don't see on the ticker desperately under every CNN news story anymore, but regardless, the airline disagrees with SWAPA's claims that any COVID-related changes over the past several months require negotiation. Southwest said in an emailed statement the carrier is committed to working with its unions as we continue navigating the challenges presented by the ongoing pandemic. Other policies the union seeks to block include Southwest's COVID quarantine rules for pilots, an infectious disease control policy that says significantly altered work conditions, rules and rates of pay until the two sides negotiate a resolution to the alleged contract violations outlined in its original August 30th lawsuit. The changes violate the status quo provisions of the RLA by not maintaining long terms of existing contract due during negotiations, the lawsuit claimed. Pilots are at a unique risk because adverse reactions to a vaccine could affect their ability to pass periodic medical examinations required to maintain their license. The union wants to negotiate, among other things, how such instances would be covered by long-term disability policies. So Bloomberg is telling you that this is because of the vaccine and the vaccine mandate, and those evil unions are trying to come back and stop, which at what point did the Democrat Party and Bloomberg himself start becoming anti-union? These are really normally pro-union people. With that, we have a couple of tweets that go along with this, both of them revolving around a tweet that came from the Palmer Report, which I cannot see directly because the Palmer Report has blocked me. But we're going to start with our friend Joshua Smith from over at Break the Cycle. Think about the worst case scenario from the government and media on this COVID hullabaloo, then realize you're heading straight for it and you should have started fighting at wear the mask or at very least close your business. Because in addition to Bloomberg, the Palmer Report is coming out here and saying the same thing. This attempt by unvaccinated Southwest airline employees at crippling the U.S. air travel is the latest reminder that it's a very short distance from anti-vaxxer to domestic terrorist. Oh, hold on, Palmer Report. You might want to, wipe that up a little bit. Your anti-union is showing. We love the union unless they try to go against the Democrat Party. If they go against the federal government, as long as the Republicans in office, that's fine. But if they go against the Democrat Party, they're dead to us. So that's interesting to see. And then our very own friend Arvold here over on Twitter also pointed out the who's terrorizing whom. You're threatening jobs and families. You're withholding needed medical treatment. Quote tweeting the same Palmer Report, and then because I requested, because I didn't know if it was going to be in the same tweet or not, he also took a screenshot and showed me that it is the same tweet that Joshua Smith put out here. Screenshotted as well. Which, yes, that's what we're seeing here. Of course, the people who stand for something, who believe in something, should withhold service from the rest of the country. Because the rest of the country is... Arvold is 100% correct on this. They are withholding medical treatment, or they're attempting to. They're not doing it yet, but, well, some of them are. Withholding needed medical treatment from people because they don't have the vaccination. We talked about it on Friday. The University of Colorado is withholding this woman's kidney treatment because she doesn't have the vaccine. The government, the system, and the fascism of the corporatocracy is withholding needed medical, life-saving treatments from people because they don't go out and get the vaccine that for the most part, seems to do a very lot, Susan Wojcicki. Definitely does a lot, and everybody should run out in a hurry and go get it as soon as they possibly can. Honk, honk. And they don't expect people to come back and hold it back? If this is the case, and I mean, like I said, Southwest is being very, very tight-lipped about this and trying to make sure that this doesn't become a union thing off of this, because you have a Democrat in office, so you can't piss off the union. They're being very tight-lipped about this, but if this winds up being a union thing, good. Good, stand up. Withhold the services, and see what happens with your airline prices and the profits of your big companies, which they were going up because we want to travel. We had to spend all of 2020 barely traveling off of this. And we had to be locked in our homes. Well, there's a reason, by the way. Even under the commie coup, where I chose to drive to Florida last year. Part of it was because I got to spend 24 hours in a vehicle with my friend Stephen Ignoramus, so there's that. But there's also the fact that, we're going to start seeing more and more of this. Until a lot of this stuff gets fixed and the government realizes that this is just the common cold at this point. It's taken out the most vulnerable people, but, now for the most part, this is going to be just a seasonal common cold. You're going to start to see stuff like this, and flights get delayed and flights stop. And some of these pilots could probably come together, pull a little bit of money together, and build a new airline. Where you don't have to be vaccinated. You won't have your union representation, obviously, but you won't have to be vaccinated. There's spirit out there. So we'll see what happens with this and where this goes, but, if you want to go somewhere in the country and it's not overseas, I would drive at this point. See the country, see the world, put some mileage on that vehicle. Yeah, I know you can't get dozens of people in together. Well, you could take the bus too, I guess, but that takes a long time. Or the train, you can take the train, Amtrak. Hey, come on, man, we're going to run a lot more Amtrak on this here. Except there you also need to be vaccinated, masked, or otherwise to be back on the train the entire direction. But yeah, get in the truck and drive. I did it over the weekend. I'd never seen where Highway 11 ends on the other side. I've seen where it ends on the Lake Michigan side, obviously. I never saw where it ended on the Mississippi River side. And technically I still haven't because they're running a detour. So I didn't get to go out and take Highway 11 all the way down into Dubuque. Over by Cuba City, there's a big detour. But I've seen the Mississippi River from further south than I have before, which I thought was kind of cool. I actually kind of want to see the Mississippi River the whole way down. From top to bottom. Just take Highway 35 or 61, whichever, from Minneapolis all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. I kind of want to do that. I think that'd be kind of cool. But I also want to go hike in Zion. So, well, I guess we'll see what happens and where that goes. Let's grab one here from Newsweek, talking on the situation where Southwest is being very tight-lipped about this. Southwest Airlines cancellations not due to vaccine mandate, walkout, or pilots. From Ewan Palmer. Southwest Airlines Pilots Association has rejected false claims from conservative figures that recent mass flight cancellations were due to the vaccine mandate walkout protest. Southwest canceled more than 1,000 flights on Sunday, with hundreds more already canceled early Monday morning, blaming disruptive weather and an FAA-imposed air traffic management program for the high volume of cancellations throughout the weekend. Although we were staffed for the weekend, we could not anticipate the significant disruption that was created from an unexpected ATC issues and bad weather across our Florida stations. Oh, Randy is apparently not that far from Dubuque. Yeah, I didn't really go far into Iowa. I kind of got to the second exit in Iowa, turned around, and came back to Wisconsin because I had to edit the Red Ned Show document. Otherwise, I would have probably stopped in Dubuque and had dinner or something. Let's see. Although we were staffed for the weekend, we could not anticipate the significant disruption that was created from unexpected ATC issues and bad weather across Florida stations. Alan Kasher, Executive Vice President of Daily Flight Operations, told staff on Sunday via CNBC. Yeah, that's all really cool, by the way, that you can come out and say this, that you know for sure that this wasn't because of walkouts. Except for the fact that, you had... it couldn't be weather because you had cancellations in Dallas and Chicago, which I will admit there was some fairly bad weather up here. But I mean, you had it all across the Southwest, all the way out to Dallas, and then up to Chicago and everything else off of this. And the other big thing is other flights that fly out of the same terminals as you do, or the same state as you do, United and Spirit, didn't have the same problem. So I'm calling bullshit on this. Yes, you can come out and claim that this was all because of weather and everything, but I mean, it didn't stop anybody else. Texas Senator Ted Cruz was one of those people who speculated that the mandate introduced by President Biden that all federal workers must be vaccinated against the pinko fucking pox was the reason for the cancellations. Joe Biden's illegal vaccine mandate at work. Suddenly we're short on pilots and air traffic controllers. Hashtag thanks, Joe, Cruz tweeted. Southwest Airlines previously said in a statement that as a federal contractor, they have no viable choice but to comply with the government's vaccine mandate. A number of right-wing figures also made the same speculation on social media. I like a nice burger. I like a nice caramelized onions and roasted mushrooms and melted Swiss. You can get that in a number of different places. Every time I see a number of in a news article, that's the first thing that pops into my head. Thank you, Stephen. Filmmaker and former California congressional candidate Errol Weber tweeted, Southwest airline employees keep pushing back. Air traffic controllers keep pushing back. Hold the line. Make the airline industry crack. Breitbart News reporter Ilana Mastrangelo added, Southwest employees are true patriots. Rebelling against tyranny is such a beautiful thing. Political commentator Chad Prather, talk show radio host Jesse Kelly, and Gillian Anderson, a former Fox News producer turned talent booker for Candace Owens, also made similar comments on Twitter. Well, yeah, and I mean, if that's the case, then good. Hold the line. Even if you already have the vaccine, these people want to run out and fire all your buddies because they won't sit here and bend the knee to what the federal government wants. Which was what this country was founded on, not bending the knee to what big daddy parent government wants. That's what we were founded on. But yes, it's interesting. And I don't know, once again, what happened. I know that United and Southwest only had to cancel a few flights due to the weather, and mostly on Friday and Saturday. I know that. And I know that Southwest is coming out here trying to say, no, it wasn't a staffing shortage, just don't look over here. I cannot honestly tell you what happened. I have an idea. I have a good working theory, but I can't tell you what it was. And once again, our Arvold friend says the same thing. Our mustache friend over here, the damn dirty centrist that he is. They're losing the unions. The Southwest Airlines Pilots Association is filing Friday, also asked for the immediate hearing on the request before a federal court in Dallas. So, I mean, we'll see where this goes. We'll see what happens with the federal filing. We'll see what happens if this actually was a walkout, if things return back to normal throughout the week. I'm actually a little bit curious about that. Or if something cracks and something goes. Or if it's just the weather and everything is back to normal today. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. All right. Let's keep going, shall we? From WAFB 9. Some more vaccine mandate news. LSU lifting the vaccine mandate at Tiger Stadium. From WAFB staff. Hang on. I don't want to do this one just yet. I want to rearrange a couple things here. On-air production. Alright, let's rearrange things. Let's do this one here quick before we get to it, because I do want to talk just a bit about this as well, as long as we're on the airline stuff. From KUSI News, San Diego's more local news station. Biden. United Airlines has 99% vaccination rate after firing all unvaccinated employees. From Elk Grove Village, Illinois. President Biden is championing the fight against COVID-19, requiring workplace vaccinations requirements to force roughly 67 million vaccinated American adults to roll up their sleeves. Biden is delivering a message in Illinois where he's visiting a suburban Chicago construction site run by a company that's imposing a new vaccine or test requirement. In the coming weeks, more than 100 million Americans will be subject to vaccine requirements ordered by Biden. The majority of the nation's already vaccinated, and industry leaders mostly agree with the mandates for the safety of the workers and the economy. Biden also planned to meet with the CEO of United Airlines, Scott Kirby, whose company successfully implemented the vaccine mandate with no options for workers to be tested. Less than 1% have failed to comply and risk termination. Let's listen.
These requirements work. And as the Business Roundtable and others told me when I announced the first requirement, that encouraged businesses to feel they could come in and demand the same thing of their employees. More people are getting vaccinated. More lives are being saved. Let's be clear. When you see headlines and reports of mass firings and hundreds of people losing their jobs, look at the bigger story. I've spoken with Scott Kirby, CEO of United Airlines, who's here today. United went from 59% of their employees to 99% of their employees in less than 2 months after implementing the requirement. 99%.
Well, okay, and I mean that's all understandable, and we've seen some of the memes and charts that go along with this, and yeah, I mean if you have 59% vaccinated and what would that be? 41%, 41%. I'm sorry, 41% vaccinated. And then you fire 40% of your workforce, then obviously, yes, you are back to 99% vaccinated and 1% unvaccinated. Isn't it funny how cooked books and numbers work, you guys? And they're counting this as a win, too, by the way. Don't comply or you're gonna starve to death. This is communist shit, dude. This is way, way scarier stuff than I thought that we would ever see in my lifetime. Comply or die. And I mean, I've heard talk on other things too, where we might get to a second or a third underground economy. An underground economy of people who are unvaccinated who are trading with each other. And honestly, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about the efficacy of the vaccine or anything else like this off of this one here. At this point, for the most part, you believe what you believe about the vaccine, and nothing I'm going to say is going to change you. But realistically, when we look at this, we look at things like the vaccine mandates and everything else off of this. I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that one. It'll probably hit me as soon as I move off to this article here. But I mean, we can talk about the efficacy of whether or not this works all the time here, but it's the mandate side of it. It's the government coming down and telling you, you must do this in order to eat or not eat, in order to go to work or not go to work, in order to earn money to feed your family or not earn money to feed your family. And where does it stop? The mask mandate. Oh, it's just a mask mandate. It's just do what you're told and we'll be able to go back to normal and reopen within a couple weeks. Oh, well, just stay in your home for a couple weeks here and we'll be able to reopen and everything will be fine in a couple weeks. Oh, there's a vaccine coming out here. Just go out and get it. Otherwise, you'll be able to. I mean, where does it stop? It doesn't stop. If you tell them that you are going to comply and bend the knee to whatever it is that they want, then they will take it an inch further. And yeah, I saw it in the chat earlier here today. The time to come back and tell them no was when the mask mandates come out. That was the time to come out and say, fuck you, fuck your mask. Deal with it. And I'm, of course, talking about government mandates. Private businesses, you have a much easier time telling them to fuck themselves because you typically have another place that you can go. Like in Janesville down here, the Festival of Food was the first one to implement a mask mandate. And they were the first one to lose my business. When they implemented the mandate, I stopped shopping at that store entirely. Just wouldn't go there anymore, ever again. And then, of course, once the state mandate came out and everybody had to implement it, of course, I did it. But I did do my best to shop in places that tended to look the other way. Let's put it that way. Not necessarily places that didn't require the mask mandate, but places that would look the other way if you just went in there and said, "Oh, I forgot my mask. Will you forgive me this one time?" I tended to shop in places like that when I could. But yes, obviously on a private business, withhold your business from the private business. Don't give them your business if they're going to come in here and say, "You must be vaccinated, you must show your papers, please, you must wear the mask, you must do this, you must do that." But yeah, when the government's involved, it's a little bit of a different story, and they have a hard time doing this, and they're trying to stay open as well. So we'll see what happens off of that. But yeah, I mean, it's just, hey, let's look at these funny cooked books. Oh, hey, we fired 50 or 40% of our employees. Hey, look, we're all 99% vaccinated. All right, now let's talk about LSU. Get the live chat back up here. LSU lifting vaccine mandate at Tiger Stadium. From WAFB staff. With the consistent and significant decline of the pinkpox infections and hospitalizations across the state of Louisiana in the Baton Rouge area, LSU will lift its COVID-19 entrance protocols for football games at Tiger Stadium, beginning with the Tigers' October 16th game against Florida. In accordance with state and campus guidelines, all guests will still be required to wear masks in the indoor areas of the stadium. The COVID-19 rates in Louisiana have dropped dramatically across the state over the last couple of weeks, and today the state has a positivity rate below 5%, said Dr. Catherine O'Neill, Chief Medical Officer at Our Lady of the Lake Hospital in Baton Rouge and a member of SEC's Return to Activity and Medical Guidance Task Force. Because of this success, we are able to lift the vaccine and testing requirements for entry into Tiger Stadium. By balancing mitigation efforts and risk in the ongoing fight to end the pandemic, we can protect our community and safely celebrate the traditions that bring us together. Beginning October 16th, guests will no longer be required to provide proof of vaccination or a negative COVID-19 test upon entrance to Tiger Stadium. Game day testing, fast pass pre-verification, and all other entrance-related procedures will no longer be in place, and masks will no longer be required in outdoor locations of the stadium for guests under 12 years of age. We cannot thank our fans enough for stepping up to help stop the spread. While still supporting the Tigers, LSU Director of Athletics Scott Woodward said, "Their commitment to protecting our community and supporting our student athletes has never wavered. We remain fully committed to providing a game day experience that is safe and as enjoyable as possible for all guests, and we will continue to work with the university leadership and rely on medical expertise to ensure that we are taking reasonable and necessary precautions to protect the health of our community." COVID-19 in Louisiana has consistently and continually declined in recent weeks. Hospitalizations have decreased 80% over the past 7 weeks, and the state's percent positivity is less than 5%, well below August's peak near 16%. Since August 1st, the state's vaccination rate has increased by 23%, with now more than 2.1 million Louisianans fully vaccinated. So, I mean, that's a good thing, too. They're doing some steps off of this. Now, once again, I probably still wouldn't go to Tiger Stadium or any other major stadium at this point, because you're still going to have the Karenism. You're still going to have the, "Why aren't you wearing your mask? Are you fully vaccinated?" You're still going to have that kind of shit going on there. And, I'm not really big for crowds anyway. Yeah, it was cool to go watch the Packers play at Lambeau and the South End Zone, but man, that was a lot of people and a lot of effort to get in and out of that place. But that's what we have going for that. In other news with this, demonstrators hold rally for medical freedom following Oxnard LSU health vaccination mandate for employees. From Jade Myers. A medical freedom rally was held on Saturday, October 9th, where demonstrators protested for the freedom to make their own decisions about receiving the vaccine. Demonstrator Susan Walker says the rally isn't about being anti or pro-vaccinations. Do I have to shuffle stuff around again? I do, because I want to talk about this up here. Let's see. If vaccines are what you choose to do, then that's your choice, just like a mask. If you choose to mask, you should also be your choice, said Carol Lowry. On Tuesday, 39 Oxnard employees sued the health system, asking judges to block the vaccine mandate in Caddo and Wachita parishes. In response, Oxnard said they're unable to provide further comment about the ongoing litigation and stand firmly behind the science and the data that demonstrates the safety and efficacy of COVID-19 vaccination. And that's the weasel word that they always try to do with this. When they always try to go in and say, oh, well, it's just fine and we have every right to come here and require this off of you. They always say the same thing. And the government says it, the health systems say it, the governors say it. They always say the same thing. We stand with the science, trademark, and data, restricted, that demonstrates the safety, copyright, and efficacy, trademark, of the COVID-19 vaccination. They always say, we stand behind the science and demonstrates the safety and the efficacy. We never talk about we stand behind the freedom and the fact that this is such a good idea that if we ask people to do this, they're going to run out in droves to go and get this vaccine. Good ideas don't require force. That's the thing. And if they are doing so much force behind this, I do start to question whether or not there's an ulterior motive as to doing this. Especially with the studies that have shown that this doesn't reduce the viral load. It might reduce symptoms, yes, but it doesn't reduce the viral load. And the spread seems to be the same or even higher among the vaccinated. So, yeah, I don't know. Of course, vaccines are safe and effective. And of course, everybody should run out and get them immediately. Don't ban me, Susan. But in a simulation, in Minecraft, maybe people should actually consider whether or not they would be free to do so or not. And yeah, that's exactly where this goes, constantly. A good idea doesn't have to be required. And if you want to get it, I would drop the in a simulation act for just a second here, and I want to point something out. And I've always said this right from the top. This should always be your freedom. And I don't bag on people that go out and get it. I know some of you guys do, and that's your own choice. But I don't bag on people that have chosen to go get it for one reason or another. As long as those people don't turn around and start requiring their friends and family to go and get it as well. But if it comes down to feeding your family and you feel that that's the most important thing to you, and you need to have this vaccine in order to go and do that, I'm not going to bag on you for that. Feed your family, dude. Absolutely feed your family. Or for whatever other reason you believe that this is it. I might throw a joke at you of, how was your cell reception? But it's your body and it's your choice. If that's what you feel the need is to do, then do it. Absolutely do it. Just don't come out here and try to start telling other people that that's what they need to do in order to live, survive, or participate in good society. That's horseshit. Alright, let's keep going here. Let's grab one from Fox News for you guys. Candace Cameron Brewer sparks debate over a post about how vaccine mandates, says she's pro-informed consent. From Tyler McCarthy. I'm actually not surprised by this either, and I'll tell you why after we read from this, and we'll actually go and look at the Instagram post in question. From Tyler McCarthy over at Fox News. Candace Cameron Brewer has... How do you pronounce that, by the way? Is it Brewer, like pure, or is it Burr? I've heard it a couple other ways. Sparked a debate on social media over a post that she made, seemingly expressing her skepticism over vaccines. On Thursday, the Full House actress took to Instagram to share a series of images that began with the statement, "I'm not anti-V," meaning anti-vaccination. Each picture contained a subhead explaining what the star was for. Instead, it seemed to prompt users to either select same or exactly. Yeah, that's not the way that you do that either, but... This is not what I'm against. This is what I'm for. Read and understand the distinction, she wrote. This mama is holding the line and standing for freedom. Oh, my Lanta. Of course it's got to be a parenting thing. The Images noted that the star is pro-medical freedom, pro-informed consent, pro-immune system, pro-early intervention, and pro-sunlight, exercise, real food, and vitamins. She concluded her caption by writing, "This should not separate us. We have different opinions and still respect and love one another. Be bigger than that." Yahoo Entertainment reports that Bureau's post sparked the tense debate on her Instagram about vaccine mandates, with many agreeing with her stance, while others question if her desire to promote medical freedom extends to the thoughts on abortion. Her Full House co-star Bob Saget and Hallmark co-stars Lacey Chabert, Danica McKellar, Catherine McPhee, and Alexa Panavega chimed in with messages of support amid the criticism. Oh, is that where Lacey Chabert and Danica McKellar went? Interesting. I didn't know that. I don't know who Catherine McPhee and Alexa Panavega are. But I know who Lacey Chabert is and Danica McKellar, obviously. Is that where they disappeared to? A Hallmark channel? Let's look at the post in question. From Instagram, from here. We'll back it up to the beginning. Nope, never mind. This one. This is the arrow I want. The Image. I'm not anti-V, I'm just pro-medical freedom. I'm not anti-V, I'm just pro-informed consent. I'm not anti-V, I'm just pro-immune system. I'm not anti-V, I'm just pro-early intervention. And lastly, I'm not anti-V, I'm just pro-sunlight, exercise, real food, and vitamins. Now, as a Hollywood actress, I know a lot of people would come up and try to think that Candace Bure is going to be the kind of person who's going to run out and tell everybody to just go out and get the vaccine and don't question it. Do what your corporate overlords tell you. Because this is a person who's going to wind up being a part of the Politburo, or so they hope. When the communists take over and take everybody's money, they still get to be the fun, free ones who get to have the Mercedes and all the fancy stuff because they towed the party line and did what the party told them to. And it's an interesting theory behind that, of course, but honestly, you also have to remember, this is Kirk Cameron's brother, or sister, rather. So to look at Candace and think to yourself, and I've said this a lot, because she's done some woke stuff before, but I do tend to wonder if this wasn't just because Hollywood told her to do so, or she's never going to work again. But this is Kirk Cameron's sister. Kirk Cameron, who is a movie producer for Sean Hannity, who left his... I'm almost positive he left his Hollywood career to go start a church. I don't know if he still works in Hollywood or not, but I'm almost positive he stepped away from the limelight to go and work in a church. To be, I think he's a pastor, if I'm not mistaken. Let's look that up quick. But regardless on that, while we're looking this up, I mean, regardless of that, though, this is not going to be the kind of person who's going to run out and just because she was raised in the same house as Kirk Cameron, she's going to have some of the same ideals, where she's going to run out and say, socialism, socialism, worship the government, worship the government. No, she's going to be much closer to, especially with the upbringing, where Kirk is. Let's see. Kirk Cameron, born October 12th, 1970, is an American actor, known for his role as Mike Seaver on the ABC sitcom Growing Pains, a role for which he was nominated for 2 Golden Globes. Evangelist. Yeah, he is fellowed with, he's partnered with Ray Comfort to teach evangelism methods through the ministry they founded. So yes, I believe he is a minister at this point. Or he is paying buttloads of money for ministry. But yeah, I don't think he is acting anymore. He did appear in one of the episodes of Fuller House. I don't remember which one. And I did see that, but yeah. He is, yeah, I don't know if he is actually in Hollywood anymore. Well, maybe he is. 2014, he was in Saving Christmas. Extraordinary, a film made by Liberty University, and a documentary in 2018. So, I mean, he is somewhat active in the Hollywood scene, but not like he was, not in, like the Growing Pains days. So, that's what we see off of that. All right. But yeah, I mean, these are all perfectly acceptable positions to be in. And I've said from the beginning, just like I said under the LSU thing, on the thing like that, if you want to get the vaccine, I'm not going to try and stop you from doing it. I've even offered to take people to their vaccine appointments if they want to get the thing, if they don't have a ride to do it, or any other way to go to the clinic or whatever. Call me up, and we'll arrange a way for you to get there if you want to get this thing. But don't expect me to do so, and if I do take you personally to your appointment, I'm not going in with you. Respect that, and we'll all be good. Alright, from the New York Post. Fauci, St. Anthony of Fauci, the patron saint of medicine, says kids can enjoy trick-or-treating this Halloween. Anthony, I don't recall asking you. From Jackie Sello. Children should be able to safely go trick-or-treating this Halloween since it's outdoors, Dr. Anthony Fauci said on Sunday. Yeah, you can get there. You're outdoors for the most part, and at least when my children were doing trick-or-treating and enjoy it, the White House chief medical advisor and patron saint of medicine said on CNN's State of the Union. I mean, this is a time that children love. It's a very important part of the year for children. I know my children enjoy it, Fauci said. He added that the activity is particularly safe for those children aged 12 and older who are eligible for the vaccine and received it. If you're not vaccinated, again, think about that you'll add with immunization an extra degree of protection to yourself and your children and your family and your community. So it's a good time to reflect on why it's important to get vaccinated, he said. But go out there and enjoy Halloween, as well as other holidays that will be coming up, he said. Nobody cares. Fuck off. From Fox News. One of Newsom's kids lacks the vaccine despite the mandate, report says. From Peter Aitken. California Governor Gavin Newsom last week signed a requirement for all eligible students to receive the vaccine, even as his own daughter has yet to receive the shot. Newsom announced on October 1st that all students and staff must be vaccinated by January of 2022, the first statewide mandate in the country. The order includes some exemptions, including ones based on personal beliefs, but Newsom has not yet clarified the criteria of these exemptions. However, he did reveal that his own daughter, 12, has yet to receive the vaccine, the LA Times reported. The governor's daughter only recently turned 12, Newsom's spokesperson, Erin Mellon, told Fox News. She has an appointment to be vaccinated in a matter of days. Newsom's daughter turned 12 on September 19th per Newsom's Twitter and is the oldest of Newsom's 4 children. The FDA and CDC recommended in May 2021 that the shot was safe for children 12 to 15. Newsom initially told the Times that his daughter had a series of other shots to get first. The CDC notes that ages 11 and 12 years old, a child should routinely receive the meningococcal vaccine, HPV, Tdap, and flu shot. Data suggests, though, that the COVID-19 vaccine is safe to receive at the same time as other vaccines. There's still a struggle to get to where we need to be, Newsom said, about the effort to contain the pandemic, and that means we need to do more. We need to do better. Students who file an exemption will not be allowed to enroll for in-person classes on campus, and Newsom's children have attended in-person lessons in private school since October 2020, Politico reported. Well, that's interesting. I mean, if this is such a deadly thing, you would think that on day 12 it'd be like, or on birthday 12 it'd be like, okay, honey, let's get some cake, let's have some cake. Okay, now we're going to get shot. Let's go. Let's hurry. We have to get it there, especially as the governor, because he can cut the fucking line. He's a celebrity in that state. He is all powerful. He defeated the recall. He gets whatever he wants. Oh, no, don't worry. No. She's got an appointment. Just don't question us. Don't question here. All right. More airline stuff here from CNN. Biden says he's instructed the Justice Department to address unruly passengers on plane. Does anybody think that the Justice Department is suddenly having way too much fucking power? Hey, let's go after the people on the airplanes. Hey, let's go after the people on the school board. Hey, let's go after the former president. from Megan Vasquez and Donald Judd. On especially things that should be a local thing. I mean, even with the TSA being involved in the flights, that should still be a local thing. Get the plane on the ground, send the guy over to local authorities, and investigate whether or not you need to get the FBI involved after that. President Biden on Thursday said that he's instructed the Justice Department to address rising violence on airplanes as passengers resisting mask requirements threaten airline staff. The comments came during a speech near Chicago where Biden was highlighting his administration's push towards COVID-19 vaccine requirements. Speaking in the direction of United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby, who joined Biden for the speech in Elk Grove Village, the president said, "Scott, I want you to know I instructed the Justice Department to make sure that we deal with the violence on aircraft coming from those people who are taking issues, man. We're going to deal with that," the president added. Figures from the Federal Aviation Administration released on Tuesday show more disruptions on commercial flights in the past week than any week in the past 2.5 months. The FAA says 128 new incidences were reported by flight crews, the highest weekly figure since the FAA started releasing the weekly data on July 20th, bringing the year's total to 4,626 incidents. Where? Why aren't we seeing these? Why aren't we hearing about these if these are so deadly and so damning? I mean, everybody's got a camera and a cell phone. Of course they're going to make these videos go viral, but where are these reports? I want to see the security footage and everything else that goes along with this. I want to see. Because there's security footage on there. I want to hear witness testimony as to what's going on with this. Because I think you're full of shit. And another way to go back and try to crack down against people who won't go against with your mandate. Why do we keep going to the DOJ? I'm going to step away for just a second again, and I'll be right back with you guys. The host sits down, once again, wistfully remembering how easy he had it on allergies last year, and how miserable it's been for the last few months on allergies this year. He continues in his reading. The FAA has proposed more than $1 million in fines against unruly airline passengers this year. Biden also thanked Kirby during the speech, praising the airline CEO for enacting the vaccine mandate, blah, 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 United Airlines, blah, 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 blah. What are we seeing here? We're seeing the FAA, or the DOJ coming in here to terrorize people again. This is Soviet level shit right here. Comply, or the federal government will make you disappear. And once again, I mean, right now, I would not get anywhere close to an airplane. I have no desire to be even on the same road as an airport. But that's where we see it going off of that. Here's a mask incident from a high school from KPVI News That Works For You. Mask incident prompts police response to Laramie High School. From Morgan Hughes. Police responded to an incident at Laramie High School on Thursday regarding the school district's face mask requirements. Laramie Chief of Police Dale Stelder confirmed. Stelder could not say how the incident concluded, but that it involved a juvenile. He confirmed that 2 resource officers were at the high school on Thursday because of what occurred there today. When asked for details on the situation, he said he could not comment on an incident involving a juvenile and criminal violations. He did say the incident dealt with concerns between the school district, parent, and other community members regarding the district's face mask requirements. The department's call log lists officers responding to a trespassing incident at the high school's address at 8:37 a.m. on Thursday. Laramie High School Thursday morning was locked down due to a student disciplinary disturbance in the main office, according to a statement from the district. The lockdown was lifted once the issue was resolved. All students are safe. The lockdown was issued in order to prevent further interruptions to academic learning. The school district does not comment on individual student discipline matters, the statement concluded. So, there was a mask disagreement where somebody decided that they didn't want to wear a mask, and they locked the school down because of it. Full lockdown, which tells me that there was another altercation that went along with that. A kid attacked a cop, or was attacked by a cop, or there's a possibility that a gun had to come out for it. But don't worry, it's a good idea, so you should just do it. From the Blaze. He applied for fraudulent COVID-19 relief loans, then faked his own death. Now he's headed to prison. From Leon Wolf. Massachusetts resident David Stavely is headed to prison after being sentenced for his role in a scheme to defraud the government out of hundreds of thousands of dollars in Paycheck Protection Program loans. Stavely was the first person in the country to be criminally charged with fraud in connection with the loans. The PPP was included in the Coronavirus Aid, Relief and Economic Security Act, the CARES Act, which was passed by Congress and signed by then-President Trump in March of 2020. The program was intended to provide $349 billion in interest-free loans to companies so that they could meet payroll obligations during the economic devastation caused by lockdowns instituted in the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The program was subsequently expanded with an additional $320 billion in funding in April. Due to the speed at which the act was passed and the haste in which the money was dispersed, the program was rife with fraud from its inception. One study estimated that as many as 15% of the loans distributed under the program have been fraudulent. Additionally, while the program required businesses to commit to keeping employees on payroll for a number of months, many businesses were harshly criticized for taking loans they were technically qualified for, even though they intended to offshore jobs even before the pandemic started. In Stavely's case, persecutors say that he had an accomplice, David Buttsinger, filed fraudulent applications for 4 different businesses they claimed to co-own. 3 of the businesses were restaurants that had closed prior to the start of the pandemic, and the 4th was a company called Doc Wireless. According to NBC News, the scheme began to unravel when FBI agents interviewed 4 people who were identified on loan paperwork as Doc Wireless employees and discovered that none of the 4 had ever worked for the company. Further investigation revealed that neither Stavely nor Buttsinger had any ownership interest in the company. Federal agents then investigated other loan applications filed by Stavely and discovered that the restaurants in question were closed and had no plans to reopen. And see, this is the thing. Now, I am of the mind that a government should, if possible and necessary, do something to help out during a pandemic like this, but it shouldn't be at a federal level. If this was actually the Spanish flu, if this was actually going to be shutting various parts of the country down for various reasons off of this, and I don't think the entire country needed to shut down, but like if you're in New York and your people come up and demand that you go shut your state down or your city down because they're afraid, they're scared, or if you're in Los Angeles or something like that, the government should have at least an ability to step in and do this. Now, of course, you should be able to apply for it. It shouldn't just be something that's handed out almost immediately. You should have to fill out the paperwork and do all this kind of stuff here. But it should be at the most local level possible. It should always be at the most local level possible if you're going to do something like this. Because the local governments can more easily walk into a place like this dude's restaurants that have no plans to reopen, or this Doc Wireless, and look at this and say, you ain't Stavely, fucker. What's going on here? Their resources, while smaller, are more closely attributed to the area. They're easier to go. It's easier for them to go in and investigate something, or send one of their police officers to go in and investigate something, than it is for the FBI to get the DOJ involved, get the FBI out there to every single state in the union to go check on every single PPP loan. I mean, if you bring it down to a municipal level, and we're into small town America, You filed a loan. Oh. Bill. You don't own Bernie's Burgers and Fries. You can't apply for this. Bill, what the fuck is going on here? Whereas when they hastily run this out at the federal level, now you're seeing stuff like this all over the fucking place. Alright, but that's what we have from that. Here's one, Rip My Hometown, shifting gears, moving out of the commie coof, finally. After spending, what, an hour 24 minutes talking about that. Rip My Hometown from the Dissociated Press. Feds won't seek charges against cop in Jacob Blake shooting, from Todd Richmond. Federal persecutors announced Friday that they won't file charges against a white police officer that shot Jacob Blake in Wisconsin last year, a shooting that sparked protests that led to the deaths of 2 men. Officer Rustin Chesky shot Blake, who was black, during a domestic disturbance in Kenosha in August of 2020. The shooting left Blake paralyzed from the waist down and sparked several nights of protests, some of which turned violent. An Illinois man shot 3 people, killing 2 of them during one of the demonstrations. State prosecutors decided not to file charges against Chesky earlier this year after video showed that Blake, who was wanted on a felony warrant, was armed with a knife. The Justice Department launched its own investigation. Days after the shooting, the agency announced Friday that a team of prosecutors from its Civil Rights Division and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Milwaukee reviewed police reports, witness statements, dispatch logs, and videos of the incident and determined there wasn't enough evidence to prove Chesky used excessive force or violated Blake's federal rights. Accordingly, the review of this incident has been closed without federal prosecution, the Justice Department said in a news release. Yeah, pretty much about the time you look at this and say, oh, well, we're not going to have any local law enforcement or any local prosecution here. Hey, let's run out to the federal government and do it right away. And I mean, we saw this too with the thing with Derek Chauvin. Which, other than the Hong Kong, everything going completely above board in the jury in the Chauvin trial, Hong Kong, they were waiting to, and I think they're actually still doing this, but they were waiting in the wings to, if there was an acquittal in the Chauvin trace, they were going to walk over, the federal agents were going to come and put the cuffs on him and say, you're under arrest for federal civil rights charges. They won't stop. This is a persecution. This is a political witch hunt at this point. Thankfully, the federal officers and the federal attorney's office have looked at this and said there's no way we can do something off of this. This is justified. But they're going to try. They're going to continue to try to make this into a thing where if the state and locals can't get you, then we're going to make the federal government be involved in this. You will go to prison one way or another if you are deemed to be a political outsider, a political Hong Kong, as it were. So yeah, no, there was no reason to do this. The local governments and the prosecutors shouldn't have the ability to appeal to the federal government. The appeals process should be to the people who are being oppressed by the government, not the other way around. From CNBC, oil prices could hit off-the-chart spikes, say strategists. On October 11th, as we're coming into the cold weather. Although you wouldn't know it considering the fact that it was 77 degrees yesterday in Wisconsin. From Washington. Oil prices could experience an off-the-chart spike as winter approaches, and OPEC and its allies stuck to their earlier pact on oil output, a strategist told CNBC. OPEC Plus, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, with their allies, including Russia, have been under pressure from top consumers, such as the US and India, to add extra supplies after oil prices surged 50% this year. However, the oil cartel agreed Monday to stick to an existing pact to hike oil output by 400,000 barrels per day in November, shrugging off calls to pump more oil. John Driscoll, the chief strategist at JTD Energy Services, said the decision by OPEC Plus was a very prudent course of action until one considers the ongoing energy crises and possible supply disruptions. What I think is more concerning to everyone out there, what happens during the winter. Are we going to have another Arctic freeze? Driscoll told CNBC's Squawk Box Asia on Tuesday. He pointed to the shortage of fuel in the UK, with long queues of cars waiting to buy gas, as well as fistfights in the UK. People have been panic buying fuel, causing shortages, as well as straining fuel supply chains. Dude, all these cars look exactly the same. That's crazy. When you get to the winter, you really have to worry about this non-discretionary demand, Driscoll said. Non-discretionary demand refers to essential spending for daily goods and services. Driscoll said, what's especially worrying is a thin inventory, or if there's any kind of supply chain glitch. Supply chains have been strained by the panic buying of fuel in Britain, and due in part to a major lack of truck drivers due to Brexit and the UK's new trading relations with the EU, it's led to the UK to resort to bringing the army in to deliver fuel. Which, that's a completely other story that we should also pay attention to, the fact that with Brexit being in here, now there are suddenly supply chain shortages that are totally grassroots and totally have nothing to do with the government making bad trade deals, so they can come out and blame Brexit so people will come back and beg to be let back into the EU. Alright. But, I mean, we're coming into a very, very cold winter, according to the Almanac. I don't know, I can't predict the future, but looking at the statistics and looking at what the Almanac says, it looks like this is going to be a very chilly one, for sure. I don't think we're going to get a lot of snow this winter, but I think we're going to get a lot of cold. We're going to get a lot of really, really cold days. And this is, you know, like I say, we're looking at the Old Farmer's Almanac. That's usually a good indicator of what's going to happen throughout the year. Looking at statistics throughout the years past, and then also some of the things that we're seeing off of this. You know, we had a very low precipitation summer as well, so there's still the level of dryness in the air. So that's what we're seeing coming out of that as far as this goes. And yes, oil is up. Now, these people over in Europe could be buying the oil from the US. They can make that trade deal. All we'd have to do is go back up to Alaska, turn Prudhoe Bay back on, and run that Keystone XL pipeline to get the oil down into the trucks, to get it over to the ships, and get it over to the UK. It would be easy. The hardware is already there. But hey, you know, a lot of NIMBYism going on here. A lot of, I'm gonna stop the fossil fuel industry. You better use your solar power, man. Come on, man. So that's where we go from that. Speaking of fuel saver, I wanted to point this out. Ron Helton posted this in the Articles Worth Investigating, and I wanted to talk just a bit about this for just a second here. This was supposedly an advertisement that showed up on a video that Ron Helton watched on YouTube, which is supposed to be shutting down anybody who spreads any sort of climate change misinformation. And while I look at this, and with the auto mechanic background that I have, I consider this to be environmental disinformation. Rusty 1969 Beetle covered 2,096 miles on a single tank using this weird simple device. And probably an extended fuel tank too. But we won't talk about that. At first, no one believed this old Beetle could travel 2,096 miles on a single tank. This genius college kid finally reveals the secret behind the world-breaking old VW Beetle that was modified by a bunch of 19-year-old students when he approached them. He and this group of students gained worldwide attention with their old Volkswagen Beetle that has exceeded what the car is supposed to perform when they tuned the 1969 VW to travel up to 2,096 miles on a single tank of fuel. They managed to drive from Pittsburgh to Atlantic City without stopping for gas. The solution allowed a lot of people to save a lot of fuel and extend the car's longevity. It's called the Petrol Smasher. Apparently the secret is in this one small device. This simple device can save up to 3/4 of your fuel consumption. No, it can't. To put it to the test, they invited another group of students to the How Far Can You Go challenge. So basically what this is supposed to do is this is supposed to discharge excess voltage off of your system so that your alternator's not working so hard. And you can suddenly go millions of miles on a single tank of fuel. Unfortunately, it's bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors bullshit kind of thing. Yeah, you actually might save a little bit, like maybe 0.1% of fuel. if you put this into there and do this, make the alternator not work so hard. But I mean, I've had the same, like I did the research off of this when LED lights started becoming more commonplace. And I mean, LED is cool to begin with, don't get me wrong. But when LED started becoming more commonplace, I actually looked into this because I know that LED takes up a lot less wattage. I mean, every light in my house has been converted to LED because it takes up less wattage, which means lower electric bill. Now, translating this into what your vehicle does, yes, of course, if you have less wattage going to all your lights and everything else, yes, you are going to have less of a draw on your alternator, but it's negligible. You might see a 10th or maybe 100th of a mile per gallon because of it. You're not going to change everything that much. I mean, you'd be better off doing underdrive pulleys. You'd get better performance out of that than changing all your lights over to LED. No, I still think you should do it because LEDs are cool and you don't have to change them. There's less waste because they don't go bad near as often, and I still think you should. But as far as trying to save fuel on that, no, it doesn't work. It's bullshit. And this is because we're trying to save fuel. This is climate disinformation too. So this ad shouldn't be eligible to run on YouTube videos. This ad that reportedly Ron Helton saw. I have ad blockers, so I don't see this kind of stuff. But reportedly, if this is actually showing up on YouTube videos, this is misinformation, climate misinformation on YouTube. Pull them off. Get rid of them. All right, some jobs report stuff here. After seeing that we've said so many, the unemployment's going back down, and look at this, the new unemployment numbers, they're so far down. Look at all this. Look how great this is. From Fox Business, the U.S. economy only adds 194,000 jobs in September, missing estimates. The unemployment rate fell to 4.8%. From Jonathan Garber, U.S. employers hired fewer than expected workers last month as supplemental unemployment benefits expired. Non-farms increased to 194,000 workers in September as the unemployment rate fell to 4.8%. The Labor Department said on Friday economists surveyed by Refinitiv were expecting the addition of 500,000 new jobs and the unemployment rate to slip to 5.1%. The jobs gains in August were revised up to 366,000 from 235,000. So there are new jobs out there. There are people that are still begging for work. In fact, over 130,000 more jobs are open. More employers have added that many jobs out there, but people aren't taking them. The labor market recovery continues to hit the brakes this month, but is far from completely stopping, said Daniel Zhao, senior economist at Glassdoor. Despite the soft September report, there's still a case for optimism in the coming months. Please just stay optimistic. Please just accept that we're going to do the best for you. As we're beginning to look into the rearview mirror, and the peak of the Delta wave's repercussions is behind us, until they need to demand more government control. President Biden addressed the report on Friday and defended his record on the economy as it's progress, man, come on. In total, the job creation in the first 8 months of my administration, nearly 5 million jobs, Biden said. Jobs up, wages up, unemployment down. That's progress. No, that's not progress, by the way. Let's see, notable jobs gains occurred in leisure and hospitality. 74,000 were led by the arts, entertainment, and recreation sector, 43,000. Hiring in food services and drinking places was little changed for the second straight month after averaging a monthly gain of 197,000 from January to July. Professional and business services, retail trade, and transportation and warehousing also saw sizable gains. Local government education and state government education lost jobs last month, 144,000 local government education jobs down. 144,000 school jobs gone, and state government education lost jobs last month. The number of workers re-entering the labor force decreased by 198,000 last month to 2.3 million. The labor force participation rate was little changed at 61.6% and was 1.7% points lower than its February 2020 level. This rate has held between 61.4% and 61.7% since June of 2022. Average hourly earnings rose 0.6% in September and was up 4.6% year over year. Economists were expecting a 0.4% monthly increase and a 4.6% year over year gain. So year over year, our inflation is up 5.4%, but our wages are up 4.6%. And workforce participation is almost 40% not participating in the workforce anymore. And yes, of course, your unemployment's down to 4.8%, but there are people now, especially since you've gotten rid of the expanded unemployment benefits, now that you've gotten rid of those, now there are people who are just falling off the workforce because they're no longer getting benefits. Because you're not adding any, they're not eligible for them anymore. Yes, you're still having first-time unemployment claims in the 394,000 range. Yes, that's true. But now there are also people who are switching over to welfare because they can't go and get a job. They're either not qualified or they don't want to do this anymore. They don't have to go back and sit here and realize that, oh shit, I hated my job, I hated the people I worked with. Let's go see how much money I can make off of welfare. Well, there are people out there that are still begging to put people to work. Which in turn causes supply chain shortages, which causes supplies to go up, which causes products to go up, and inflation to go up year over year without the wages going to match. But don't worry, everything is fine. From CNN. See Economist reaction to the September jobs report. So we're going to look a little bit and see how they're talking about this. So let's drop the music and let's check out what they have to say.
If you're the President of the United States, jobs added this year, and you look month to month on this chart right there, September is the weakest month. Politically, the President had a tough summer. He needs that number to be higher. You look at this and you say, yes, COVID is still sort of running the economy, but you're not so alarmed. Why?
I am alarmed. I mean, Delta did a lot of damage to the economy. Its fingerprints are all over the report. Like we saw lost jobs in the vehicle industry. Why? Well, because chip plants in Malaysia had to shut down because everyone was sick. They couldn't produce chips. Chips go into cars. Vehicle manufacturers can't produce cars. It's not because people don't want to buy cars. They do. It's to say there's just not enough cars to produce. Leisure and hospitality, direct hit from Delta. So if the diagnosis is correct, if that's right, and I think it is, as the Delta wave winds down, and it appears to be winding down, I think the economy will rev up and we'll see more job creation going forward. But I'll have to admit, when I clicked on BLS this morning, I saw 194. I go, oh, it's going to be pretty hard to message around that.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard
to Nobel
shut the
Committee
fuck up.
has.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to message around that. It's going to be hard to spin this narrative to try to make this look good for the Biden admin. What are we going to do? How do we spin it? Spin, 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 spin. All right. From USA Today. We're running up on the end here. We're getting there. Biden becomes first president to mark Indigenous Peoples Day with presidential proclamation. Coming to USA Today via the Associated Press. President Biden on Friday issued the first ever presidential proclamation of Indigenous Peoples Day, lending the most significant boost yet to efforts to refocus the federal holiday celebrating Christopher Columbus toward an appreciation of Native peoples. Biden also issued a proclamation of Columbus Day on Monday, October 11th, which is established by Congress. For generations, federal policies have systemically sought to assimilate and displace Native people and eradicate Native cultures, Biden wrote in the Indigenous Peoples Day proclamation. Today we recognize the Indigenous people's resilience and strength as well as the immeasurable positive impact that they've made on every aspect of American society. In a separate proclamation on Columbus Day, Biden praised the role of Italian Americans in U.S. society, but also referenced the violence and harm Columbus and other explorers of the age brought on with the American people. Today, we acknowledge the painful history of wrongs and atrocities that many European explorers inflicted on tribal nations and indigenous communities, Biden wrote. It's a measure of our greatness as a nation that we do not seek to bury these shameful episodes in our past, and that we face them honestly. We bring them to the light, and we do all we can to address them. So, basically, brown people good, white people bad. Please vote for me. As I make your rich corporate overlords richer. From CBS. North Carolina Lieutenant Governor says he will not back down amid calls to resign for calling LGBTQ plus education filth. From Tori B. Powell. North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson said Saturday he will not back down as politicians call for his resignation over recently resurfaced comments in which he referred to transgenderism and homosexuality as filth. Let's listen to him, actually. Let's do that.
For several days now, I have been viciously attacked because of a clip video where I talk about removing the sexualization of children from the classrooms in our public education system. Of course, the media and those on the left have tried to change the focus from education to the LGBTQ community, specifically that I hate them. Let me be clear. I will fight for and protect the rights of all citizens, including those in the LGBTQ community, to express themselves however they want. That is their right as Americans, and I don't think that government has any role in telling them otherwise. However, the idea that our children should be taught about concepts of transgenderism and be exposed to sexually explicit materials in the classroom is abhorrent. Earlier in the year, my office released a report about indoctrination in public schools. In it, there was reference to a book titled George that a parent found in their child's school. The book is recommended for elementary school students. The main character is a biological boy in elementary school who wants to remove his genitals so he can become a girl. This book is not the only example. In Lawn Boy, there is sexually explicit content, including an animal performing sexual favors on a human. Unfortunately, there's more. The images you are about to see are from a book that is currently in North Carolina schools. It's called Gender Queer. I want to warn you that the pictures you are about to see are explicit. I hate to put these in a video, but I feel it's necessary to show you exactly what I'm referring to. Now, as you look at these photos, I challenge you to describe them as anything other than filth. These materials do not belong in public schools. For those who are calling on me to resign, for those who are saying that I don't represent North Carolina values, let me ask you something. Does forcing these on children represent your values? Do you really believe that these images should be shown in the classroom? This whole thing has been an attempt to once again change the argument and silence voices on the right. Well, let me tell you plainly, right here and right now, I will not back down. I will not be silent, and I will not be bullied into submission. I will continue to fight for the rights of our children to receive an education that is free from sexual concepts that do not belong in the classroom. And I don't care who doesn't like it. If you are with me, share this video and sign the petition on our Facebook page. We cannot allow the left to bully us. And I need patriots that will join me in saying, enough is enough. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't preview this article before we went off of there. So, yeah, I definitely wasn't prepared for that. But, I mean, I remember back in health class, and this was in 1997 when I took health class, 96, 97. And all of the hoops that the publishers had to jump around to talk about some of these things. And the fact that now it is stuff that's that explicit, that is... And that was just, I mean, in a small town for straight sex, essentially. Just telling you what your stuff is for and make sure you wear a condom and this and that and the next thing. I mean, there were no images, obviously. There were no major things like that. It wasn't pornographic like that. I mean, this is downright pornographic. Now, as far as when you're going to that level, and some parents are going to want kids to be taught at that level. Maybe not homosexuality, of course, but some parents are going to want that for their kids. But, I mean, that's an education that should come out of the home. That's not an education that should be coming out of the North Carolina school system or any school system. especially if it's an elementary. I would need to have a verification as to whether or not that's an elementary. But even for middle school, when most kids are going into this, because stuff is changing, the voices are getting lower, and now we got to figure out how to deal with this kind of stuff. No, let your parents teach you about the sex stuff. If the school needs to teach you about the biology stuff, that's one thing or another. But get your kids out of these schools, people. Get your kids out of the public schools. Because they know they've got the monopoly on this, and they know they can get away with this shit. Update on Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller. Military drops the hammer on Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller, announces 6 charges over criticism of his commanders. From Chris Enlow. The U.S. military plans to drop the hammer on Stuart Scheller, a Marine officer who criticized top military commanders for the role they played in the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. These charges are Article 88, contempt towards officials, Article 89, disrespect towards superior commissioned officers, Article 90, willfully disobeying a superior commissioned officer, Article 92, dereliction of in the performance of duties, Article 92, failure to obey order or regulation, Article 133, conduct on becoming an officer and a gentleman. Okay, I've looked into this case, I've looked into these, and there's no reason to have 6 on there for this. They could get away, well, I think that'd even be a stretch to do, but they could get away with Article 90 and Article 133. At most. Because the rest of them seem to be just a repeat of one another off of here. Why do we have this many laws in the military? Captain Sam Stevenson, a spokesman for Training and Education Command, suggested the charges are directly related to Scheller's violation of the military chain of command by airing his grievances on social media. The military are there for proper forums. In the military, there are proper forums to raise concerns with the chain of command, Captain Stevenson told the Marine Corps Times. In a general sense of not specific to any case, posting to social media criticizing the chain of commands is not the proper manner in which to raise concerns with the chain of command and may, depending on the circumstances, constitute a violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. This is actually probably true. It actually probably is realistic that, yes, this probably violated the military chain of command and probably violated several other social media laws in the military. But the first thing you have to ask first is, why are those laws there? Because I think those are a little bit extreme and excessive on top of all of this. But, yeah, they're going to drop the hammer on him. Do we have a possible sentence? No, we don't have a possible sentence. But, yeah, he's probably going to jail for a while. All right, from Fox Business, Taliban says U.S. will provide humanitarian aid to Afghanistan. From Edmund DeMarch. An interagency delegation of the U.S. officials met this weekend with senior representatives with the Taliban and called for the 2-day meeting in Doha, candid and professional, a statement from the State Department obtained by Fox News read. The meetings covered a lot of ground and ranged from terrorism concerns to human rights in the country. The statement said the delegation also called for the safe passage for U.S. citizens and others in the country. The U.S. delegation once again told the Taliban that they will be judged on their actions, not only their words, Ned Price said. Taliban political spokesman Suhail Shaheen told the Associated Press there would be no cooperation with Washington on containing the increasingly active Islamic State group in Afghanistan. IS has taken responsibility for the number of recent attacks, including suicide bombings Friday that killed 46 minority Shiite Muslims and wounded dozens as they prayed in a mosque in the northern city of Kunduz. Last month, the White House said there's no rush to recognize the Taliban as the official government for Afghanistan, saying the recognition from the U.S. will be dependent on their actions as the group announced the formation of a new government. Well, I hate to tell you this, folks, but if we are sending money over to them, we are recognizing them as the government. That's official at this point. So, ta-da! The Taliban's a legitimate government, according to the White House. From the BBC. China-Taiwan tensions. We will not bow to Beijing pressure, says leader. No author given because it's the BBC. I don't know why they don't give an author, but they never give an author. Her remarks on Taiwan's National Day came after President Xi Jinping vowed to... I always miss this because I think the bold print is a photo caption. Taiwan will not bow to pressure from China and will defend its democratic way of life, President Tsai Ing-wen said in a defiant speech amid heightened tensions over the island. Her remarks on Taiwan's National Day came after President Xi Jinping vowed to fulfill reunification. China denounced Ms. Tsai's speech, saying it incited confrontation. Taiwan considers itself a sovereign state, while China views it as a breakaway province. Beijing has not ruled out the possible use of force to achieve unification. China has sent a record number of military jets into Taiwan's air defense zone in recent days. 3 Chinese planes, including 2 fighter jets, crossed into the zone on Sunday, Taiwan's defense minister said. And this will be another one here that we'll probably see, because, the tanks are running, the military vehicles are going in. Taiwan is stepping up on its, they're stepping up on their militarization. They're waiting for something to happen and the other shoe to drop. And I know Japan has said they will support Taiwan in their efforts, which, Japan is small, don't get me wrong, but they are fierce, and I don't think that China has got the capability to stand up to them technologically either. Plus, there's also India, who's got a beef with China and might jump in onto the fray. Malaysia, and I guess we'll see where Afghanistan and North Korea fall on this too, because there's a lot of interesting things, but I'm pretty positive that if this happens, this becomes the spark that sets off World War III. From CNN, Trump D.C. hotel incurred more than $70 million in losses while Trump was president. Documents show. From Caitlin Palance, Veronica Strakwilarski, and Kristen Holmes. Former President Trump racked up more than $70 million in losses over a 4-year period from his Washington, D.C. hotel, while publicly claiming the hotel was making more than tens of millions of dollars, according to documents released by the House Oversight Committee. The documents show the hotel received millions from foreign governments in payments and loan deferral, which Trump did not disclose, raising questions about potential conflicts of interest during his presidency. It's the first time the congressional investigators have reviewed and released details into the former president's financial information, though the Trump Organization on Friday challenged the committee's understanding of accounting and denied any wrongdoing. The Manhattan District Attorney and New York's Attorney General investigators reviewed Trump's financials, but none of that has been made public. Trump's income from the Trump International Hotel, reported in the public financial disclosures dating from 2016 to 2020, totaled more than $156 million, the committee said on Friday. But in that 4-year period, Trump's D.C. hotel actually suffered a net loss of more than $70 million while he was president, and had to be loaned more than $27 million from one of Trump's holding companies, DJT Holdings LLC, from 2017 to 2020, according to hotel financial statements the committee obtained. More than $24 million was not repaid and was instead converted into capital contributions on the committee said. According to the committee, their analysis of the document showed that Trump Hotel received an estimated $3.7 million from foreign governments. They say raises concerns about the possible violations of the Constitution's Foreign Emoluments Clause. The documents include details that Congress chased for years during the Trump presidency, specifically information about foreign payments to Trump businesses, over which House Democrats unsuccessfully sued under the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution. The Emoluments Clause, an anti-corruption provision written by the nation's founders, said Congress should be able to approve any gifts to office holders from foreign governments. But despite the House's years-long interest in the autopsy of Trump's finances, congressional approval of foreign payments to the Trump Organization never happened. So he's both not as rich as he says he is, and also richer than he says he is. This is a fishing expedition. They're looking for anything they can to prevent this guy from running in 2024, because they're honestly probably afraid as fuck about it. Biden is a houseplant. Kamala can't get the spirit of America together. This guy could run again and win, and they're trying to do anything to preclude that at this point. As far as the financials, I know, like I said, he took this over from another one of his internal companies. So, I mean, for the most part, this should all be above board. But yes, there is also all of this. And as far as the DC hotel goes, I mean, the GOP, the MAGA people, don't feel necessarily welcome in Washington, D.C. That is something that we can definitely tell you off of this, especially after the Selfie Fest on January 6th. And the fact that nobody showed up for the Fed Fest last month. Don't worry, everybody just come out here for this. But, I mean, you would expect this hotel to lose a bunch of money over this. I'm actually surprised he kept the goddamn thing open, to be completely honest. I would have closed the thing, especially after the first year, after we see all the protests, this, that, and the next thing. And I'm sure that there was damage. There's graffiti that's needed to be cleaned up, and I'm sure that there were other protests that the mainstream media conveniently didn't tell us about in front of the Trump Hotel in D.C. I'm sure there's a reason they lost $70 million off of this. But they've been trying to do the emoluments clause. They've been trying to do all of this for months. And, I mean, honestly, there's more argument for the emoluments clause for Hillary and Biden than there is for Trump, who's at least making a business and funneling this money back into employing more people instead of putting it into his own pocket. But they're going to try. Oh my God, are they ever going to try? All right, one more. Because I'm going to skip this one because this is just the same stuff as the one off CNN. One more, and then we'll do Ferengi Rules of Acquisition and head out of here for the day. From the Blaze, Navy nuclear engineer and wife arrested on espionage charge for trying to sell submarine secrets to foreign power by way of a peanut butter sandwich. From Paul Saka, I don't know what's going on here. I have no idea. But I was curious. A U.S. Navy nuclear engineer and his wife have been charged with trying to sell nuclear submarine secrets to what they thought was a foreign power. The couple were charged with espionage charges after they were accused of sharing sensitive data through peanut butter sandwiches. Jonathan Tebby, 42, and his wife Diana, 45, were arrested in West Virginia on Saturday by the FBI and Naval Criminal Investigative Service. The couple from Annapolis allegedly sold information known as restricted data concerning the design of nuclear-powered warships to a person they believed was a representative of a foreign power, according to the Justice Department. The espionage investigation began in December of 2020 when an FBI official received a package sent to a foreign country that contained Navy documents, a desire to begin a covert relationship, and instructions on using encrypted communications, the New York Post reported. After an undercover agent reportedly sent $10,000 in crypto to Jonathan Tebby as a good faith payment, the couple allegedly traveled to West Virginia in June. That's when Jonathan presented a peanut butter sandwich at a prearranged dead drop location where Diana was a supposed lookout. Allegedly, inside of the peanut butter sandwich was an SD card wrapped in plastic that contained restricted data related to submarine nuclear reactors. Are we in a Clancy novel? Is this real life? $10,000 in cryptocurrency too. I mean, crypto, it all glows at this point. They're using, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that they were worried about that it was going to get used for was, oh, they're going to be able to use this for foreign transfers and stuff like that, and espionage and human trafficking and everything else off of this. They're going to be used because it's untraceable. Whereas it seems like the government is the one who's controlling all the crypto and they're doing the tracing. This is stupid. These people are stupid. Congratulations, you're going to jail. Over a peanut butter sandwich. Alright, let's do one of the Ferengi Rules of Acquisition. Let's head out of here for the day. That might be surprise stupidity at this point. Alright, the last one that we did. How far are we? There's nothing more dangerous than an honest businessman. is the 27th rule of acquisition. We did the 23rd last week, so now we're going to do the 27th rule of acquisition. This is from Legends of the Ferengi, a DS9 novel. There's nothing more dangerous than an honest businessman, and I've heard Quark talk about this on regular DS9 too. So it's not just in the novel. There's more concern about this, and this is actually canonical to the TV series as well. There is nothing more dangerous than an honest business person. I mean, if you're going to do some kind of business, you want to be as honest as possible, yes, but there are some times that you are going to have to stretch the truth a little bit to get a deal closed. But the honest ones, the ones who are legal eagle no matter what, they're going to be the ones that are going to catch you into this. So if you're going to do things on a cutthroat profit basis, then yes, this is true. I argue that you should be as transparent and as honest as possible. And I mean, when it comes to like the GoFundMe, I just set up a completely separate bank account to do the payouts for the GoFundMe for Turns and Pages Productions, because I want you guys to know that none of this is going into me. None of this is coming to me at all. This is not going to touch me and my personal finances. This is specifically going to go for this. And this is going to be kind of a, I don't know, I would say an intermediary step. Of course, we're going to have a business account once it's up and running and ready to go again. But, until we get the web page up and get the EINs filed, then yeah, that's going to be it. But I don't want this to touch my personal account anywhere. I want to be honest with you guys and say, no, this is all going for this. So if you donate to me, then this is going to building the business that you guys want to see, not necessarily going into paying a car payment or something else like that. So I am as honest as I possibly can, but for somebody out there who is trying to pull the wool over your eyes, like the CNNs, the MSDNCs and whatnot, I am a danger to them. People are looking for the honesty. They are looking for the honesty in reporting, the honesty in business, and the honesty in numbers that they're not getting from these big networks and these big networks that are controlling the narrative. So, yes, I can tell you right there, there's nothing more dangerous than an honest businessman. All right, and with that, we're going to head out of here. So let's change up the track and let's go. Change up the scene, change up the track, which I've got to open back up again because for whatever reason, I either have to restart my computer or close more and more stuff down to play Fallout 4. Where is my music? There's my music. Let's get the music up and let's go. So, thank you everybody who came by and chatted with us in the live chat today. It was a quiet day in the live chat today for sure, but definitely saw some of you guys in there today, so thank you for that. We will be back here later on tonight for Saint and his debut on the podcast circuit. So come back and join us at 5:30 Central Time for the Red Net Show featuring Saint. Otherwise, we'll be back here in the morning for more Contemporary, and we will see you then for more news and more stuff for that. Until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.